Good afternoon and welcome back to Sportszone. Halloween is upon us. It finally feels like fall, and some might even say it's football weather. Maybe not many in the Cowboys organization, but to talk about the Cowboys, I have Jocelyn Lassiter and Terrence Williams. How are we today, guys?
Good.
I can tell you guys are enthusiastic to go ahead and talk about the Cowboys, and this is specifically why I wanted you two to talk about the boys' troubles. Terrence, let's go ahead and recap a little bit what happened against Washington.
The Dallas Cowboys are trash. Let's start out with that. Well, overall, the team lost. They only scored 3 points, and Washington just outplayed us. They outcoached us. The players look better, and I mean, we fall short to injuries again. So overall, we just lost because of injuries, and we just got outplayed.
Okay, now that's the easy version, maybe even the PG version.
Yeah, PG.
Jocelyn, let's go ahead and turn it up a little bit. Let us know what really happened.
The Cowboys are trash. I just would like to start off by saying I definitely agree with Terrence. We got out-coached. Players were better. This is one big-time rivalry in the division. The Washington against Dallas Cowboys. It's been going on for years and years and decades. And I just feel like with everything happening, defense, offense, looking like trash, it's just how can we come back from this is the real question. I mean, from coaching to the offensive line to our quarterback problems that we have, and then Dalton getting hurt, Zeke not our $90 million man not being able to keep a football in his hands. I mean, what can I say? They are trash.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to go ahead and, have a positive spin to this, but I'm going to go ahead and attempt. Zeke, regardless of his play, is still 9th in rushing, which might be a bad case for the rest of the running backs in the league, or it might be a good case for himself, but it has been difficult to watch this offense along with this putrid defense. Now, again, you did mention that we did lose Dalton to an injury, so next week we'll be seeing DiNucci play. How optimistic are we, guys?
Who you want to
None. Zeros. Not zeros.
I don't. At this point, I just feel like I can actually get in some pads and throw a ball if I make my nails shorter. I definitely can make more plays. Yeah. I feel like I have better eyes. If I can see it on the big screen TV at my house, I'm pretty sure they should also be able to see it. But at the end of the day, we also have to look at it's not just falls back on our quarterback, but our defense as well. Like our defense, oh my gosh. Like we have about 4 people out. I mean, if you think about it, how many more people is going to be injured before we just totally say, you know what, Cowboys, cut this season. We're going to try again next season. I mean, it really has put us in a hole, losing some of our best players, Zach Martin, Lyle Collins, Joe Louis, Brandon Knight. I mean, can I go on? Like, the list just keeps going.
Well, let me say this. It's not going to have to do so much with Ben. I mean, Ben's going to play like a third-string quarterback like he is. Like, you shouldn't expect much out of him. You should expect more out of this offensive line. Even though we do have 2 rookies on the offensive line now, and we have 4 Pro Bowls that are gone from the offensive line, it's going to look very tough. And then you want Zeke to step up more, but he doesn't look like he wants it right now. So I'm starting to say give the ball to Tony Pollard because that dude wants to play. And Zeke, he just doesn't look like he has it this year. He's been off the football field, and he's been off on the football field. So in results, I'm going to have to say that this offensive line is costing this offense, and it's not helping the wide receivers out. I mean, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper had 0 touches. Zero.
You touched on the offensive line, which I think is a huge issue with this team going forward. I think if you put Denton Ryan's defensive line right up against them, the Cowboys would have issues. Now I want to get into a little buy or sell. We got mentioned a little bit about the optimistic portion of the Cowboys myself. The Cowboys are still only half a game back behind the Philadelphia Eagles, who we see next week. Jocelyn, do you buy or sell that these Cowboys team can beat them?
Philly, I don't know. That's really a toss-up because, I mean, Philadelphia barely lost against the Giants on Thursday night. And then, again, Dallas Cowboys barely lost against the Giants. So it's really more like a toss-up. I mean, I guess I could say Cowboys are trash, so they're going to lose.
I'm going to disagree with this one. I'm going to have to disagree because this Eagles-Dallas rivalry that they've been having, I don't know why, but it happens every year. They just play like they're superstars, both teams, even if they're trash. So I'm going to have to say Carson Wentz is going to sell this game for the Eagles, and the Cowboys are actually going to find a way to win this game, and Mike Nolan might get away with his defense this next
Terrence?
game. The Cowboys are trash. Yes, we know.
At the end of the day, the Cowboys are trash.
The whole NFC East is trash, man.
Then when the Cowboys lose, your number will be the first that I dial.
All right, so if they do lose, I'm just going to say, Cowboys are trash.
Well, and that kind of gets into the next portion of it, was to kind of dissect what can the Cowboys do to beat the Eagles quickly. Terrence.
What the Cowboys can do to beat the Eagles is it starts with Mike McCarthy, because honestly, the team has no faith in him. From what the rumor sources are going around that they said they don't think he's prepared or the coaching staff is prepared, Mike McCarthy needs to come down and talk to these players and make sure they believe in him and his process. Because yes, he's on his first year of the Cowboys, and it's always been a little rough and on everybody's first year, but he needs to get faith with this team and get them going. But besides that, Mike Nolan and Mike McCarthy are going to be the key to winning this game, because the players, they're going to do their part. It's the coaching.
One thing I think we can all agree on is all the pundits, all the fans who believe that Dak Prescott should not be the starter need to just go ahead and turn in their papers. They are not fit to be an analyst.
You couldn't wait to say that. You just couldn't wait to say that.
Thank you very much, guys. I want to talk to you guys again next week, but next we're going to be talking the World Series and Game 6. We'll be right back with you. It's October, and we got some October baseball to talk about. Just recently, the Tampa Bay Rays got to win an exciting Game 4 and then a disappointing Game 5. Tonight, we get Game 6, but before that, let's go ahead and recap the two games that we did not get to talk about. And with me to talk about it is Sebastian Nava and George. How are we today, guys?
Good.
We're doing good, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to toss it to you first, Sebastian. Will you give us a rundown of what kind of happened in Game 4 that led to the exciting game?
So basically what happened was it was a really good offensive duel. There was a lot of home runs. It was intense. There were some questionable choices made, but that's just how baseball goes. And the Dodgers just completely forgot how to play baseball for a play. You know, the ball went to center field. Chris Taylor couldn't field it right, went home. Who was it? Will Smith at the plate? Austin Barnes? Whoever it was, dropped the ball. Randy Arozarena tripped on the way there, and then Kelly Jansen got caught watching the play. He's supposed to be there backing it up, forgot how to play, and just that's how Game 4 ended.
Look, I think Kenley Jansen didn't just forget how to play. I think he forgot how to pitch. Man has been terrible since 2017. As I said earlier, this bullpen is not good. Now, Blake Trinan closed out Game 5 on Sunday, did a good job, but I don't know what happened to Kenley Jansen. He just doesn't have his stuff, and it seriously shows. And that's why they lost Game 4. It's because Kenley Jansen sucks.
I wouldn't go ahead and be that harsh on him, especially because he was good up until I think he was left a little bit too long in that game. Sebastian, now, or George even, where do we go from here? Game 4, obviously Tampa Bay won in an exciting fashion, and then Game 5, we got Jock Peterson's home run that kind of helped them propel to Game 5. What happened in Game 5 that might, give us a better outlook of what Game 6 is going to be?
Look, it's the Dodgers lineup versus the Rays pitching. That's what we got to look out for. If the Rays can keep it close, they don't have the run scoring ability, but if they can keep it close, they seem to be able to win. Even as they kept it, because they kept it close in Game 4, they were able to win Game 4 on some weird, crazy stuff. But if you keep it close throughout the first couple innings, the Rays bullpen is a lot better than that Dodgers bullpen. Therefore, you're going to have a better chance to win at the end of the game. The Rays were the best team in one-run games so far this season. Therefore, really what you got to look out for is you have to keep it close, and that all starts with the starting pitching. That's why I really think the Rays win Game 6, throwing out Blake Snell, probably one of the top 5 pitchers in the MLB.
Well, see, for me, what it really comes down to is just whether Dave Roberts can get out of his head or not. Because obviously, as George said, the Dodgers lineup is going to get runs. You don't have to worry about them. It just really has to come down to whether he can manage the bullpen or not. Because, we've seen Victor Gonzalez do good. We've seen Graterol do good. So there is ability in that bullpen. It's just he can't stay out of his own head. Because even on Game 5, Blake Trinan was finishing the game, and he still had somebody in the bullpen ready to go in case to get that one extra out. So Dave Roberts just needs to trust himself and trust the bullpen more instead of trying to overmanage the game so that he could finally close the series out.
Right, but when he's tried to trust his bullpen like he did with Kenley Jansen, what happened?
Okay, well, look, okay,
he can't trust his bullpen because his bullpen is not good. Therefore,
Yes,
you always need a pitcher
Graterol
because
is doing
if
good.
Blake
All right.
Trinan gives up a walk and a hit or something like that, you're going to want to put another pitcher in.
Okay, but
you
here's my
cannot
thing.
trust your bullpen.
Yes,
Therefore,
okay,
you
here.
always have to have another guy warming up.
Okay, well, here, listen to me, all right? So we've seen Urias do good, right? Urias can do both. He could be a reliever and start. That's all right. Dustin May had a bit of issues. He can do good in the bullpen too. Clayton Kershaw, we've seen him come out of the bullpen too. See, Dave Roberts,
And how many times have we seen Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs be absolutely terrible? That's his entire career arc because he's terrible in the playoffs.
What did he do in Game 4? He won the game, right?
Oh, wow, he won a game. Congratulations. How many games has he blown for the Dodgers being their ace for so long? And you can't throw out Urias every single game, especially because he's a long reliever. Dustin May has been terrible. Kenley Jansen, terrible. Look, and Tony Gonsolin, who's a 9.39 ERA in the playoffs, terrible. You cannot trust your pitching staff.
Okay, see, here. So what I'm saying is, yes, there are bad parts of the bullpen. There are also good parts of the bullpen too. Like I said, Graterol has done good. Victor Gonzalez is doing good. He puts out the wrong people at the wrong time. You are right about that. It's just he just needs to trust himself more, and just stop trying to overmanage the situation because analytics. Okay, here's what I think. So analytics are trying to ruin the game because everyone likes to worry about the third time around the bullpen or the third time around the starting pitcher doesn't do good. Okay, let him go. That's what we saw in the ALCS. Okay,
he's putting in his bullpen too early. He needs to let his starters run longer. Walker Buehler may be one of the best pitchers in the game. Clayton Kershaw, I don't trust him as much, but I can see it. Urias, I do think should be left in there longer, so I can agree with you there. He's not leaving his starters in long enough. But you always need a guy warming up because they so clearly can blow a lead just like that.
Okay, guys, I want to cut you off. I know this is one of my favorite segments with the both of you getting to talk baseball. But just predictions for Game 6. Quickly, Sebastian, who wins Game 6?
I just have to say the Dodgers, come in and close it out just because they have better lineup and more offensive power. They just have to close it out today.
George?
I think Snell is amazing like he was in Game 2, and I think that he keeps close enough where the bullpen closes it out. I think the Rays win Game 6 and they go to Game 7.
I cannot wait to talk the wrap of the World Series next week with you two. But until then, I'll see you guys back in here in a little bit. We're going to be talking NFL contenders and pretenders. We're going to be a little cowboy and actually NFL heavy right now, and we're going to talk contenders and pretenders. And with me to talk is Courtney Glider and I apologize, Kevin Pacheco. How are we today, guys?
Pretty good.
Good.
A little cold.
Awesome. Now, I want to dive right into it. Courtney, give us just one of these contenders that you feel has an honest chance to take it deep into the playoffs this year.
I'm going to say the Arizona Cardinals, and the reason why is because of Kyler Murray. So going into the NFL, everybody counted him out because he was too small, he was too short, and he wouldn't be able to be as mobile as he was in college. In 2019, they cut him out, but he wasn't having the best season. But this season right here, I think they added DeAndre Hopkins, and I think it complements him, and he's comfortable enough. It's like his comfort blanket, and he's able to run this team to succeed in this division. And the reason why is because he beat one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the best, Russell Wilson, this week. And he's a top rushing quarterback, decrowning Lamar Jackson, the MVP of last year. I think that he has the ability to take this team very, very far, and people are super, super sleep on Kyler Murray.
And I just want to counter that real quick, and I want to call Kyler Murray's a pretender. They did beat the Seahawks, which are a really good team, but that was a division rival. You never know what to expect from divisional games. And the Cardinals still got to face the LA Rams twice, San Francisco 49ers one more time, and the Seahawks one more time. So if you can contain Kyler Murray, that team doesn't really have much else besides DeAndre Hopkins, and that defense has been playing better, but I just think it's a matter of time until they fall apart.
Yeah, to counter off of what Kevin is talking about, their defense is coming together, and Kyler Murray is getting into his zone. He started off with 2-0. What more do you want from this guy? And he beat, again, like I'm going to say before, he was down, and he beat his team 34-31 to get into overtime. He did what he needed to do, and people, again, are asleep on him and his mobility. You have a perfect example in the NFL, like Russell Wilson, is just like Kyler Murray. What more are you looking for from this guy?
I just think that NFC West is too good for the Cardinals to even get a wild card spot. They might get the 7th seed, but I think the Chargers. Oh wait, no, wrong division. Never mind. Conference.
There's three teams in the West that have 5 wins, so it is going to be a tough division to get out of. Now, you guys mentioned Seattle, who they just finished beating. Do either of you guys have them as a contender going forward?
Of course, we can't really rule out. When can you ever rule out Russell Wilson? That's going to be the question that I have. When can you ever rule him out? And they're at the top of their division, and I don't really see a reason why we should count them out right now at this very moment.
Yeah, like I think there might be 3 teams on that division, but I really think it's going to be the 49ers, the Rams, and the Seahawks.
All 5 win games. They all have 5 wins. So it's going to be a tough division, like I said. But I want to now get into your pretenders. Teams that maybe have that 5-2 record, like the Cardinals, Kevin mentions. But who else do you feel is just way above their pay grade right now? Kevin.
It's got to be the Chicago Bears. I mean, you saw the LA Rams prove that to everybody. If you can stop that offense, they have a really good defense, but their offense isn't going to score. They had Nick Foles leading the way. He had like 200 passing yards, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, no run game. So if that offense can't get anything going, they're not a contender.
And I'm going to have to agree with Kevin there. If you look at it, they don't have really anything on offense. There are issues at that quarterback, Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky issue. And the only thing that they really have is Khalil Mack. That's it. And their schedules, that's the only thing that they've had to their benefit so far. They've played the Lions and the Falcons, and we know how terrible the Falcons are. They haven't proven anything, and they got exposed last night, and I think they're going to be exposed for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that was their one chance on national television to prove to the world that they are contenders, and they just got destroyed.
Now, I know neither of you have mentioned it, but a 5-2 team that I can't believe it, especially after this injury that just happened to OBJ with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough to see that they're 5-2 and the Cowboys are struggling at 2-5.
Yep.
But do both of you have them as a pretender as well?
I have them as pretenders. The only thing that they have is really nothing. Their depending receiver just went out. And then if you want to talk about Jarvis Landry, he has not had any touchdowns so far this season. And Baker Mayfield is very, very inconsistent. They cannot depend on him. And again, they've had a very easy kind of season. They don't have anything to show for it. They lost OBJ. Jarvis Landry hasn't done anything. They're out of it.
Yeah, they beat the NFC East, the Bengals twice, and a Colts team. That's it.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of you. Cleveland has struggled a lot, and when he is that inconsistent, it's not going to help them. But the one thing he is extremely consistent at is his dance moves. That guy can dance, right? Okay, I want to go ahead and talk about. Well, actually, we'll be done here, but we were going to be talking about the NFL fantasy season as it approaches for the following month. Again, thank you guys, Courtney and Kevin, and we'll be back here in a little bit. Thanks for joining us back here on Sportszone. Joining me now is Zachary Axtell and Brandon Brown. How are we today, guys?
Pretty good.
Never better.
Can't wait to talk fantasy football with y'all. If you guys are audience members or fantasy members, this is the chance to get to know our true stars, people you need to buy, people you need to drop off. Here we go. Brandon, start off with the fantasy stars who may even be a little surprising at the beginning of the season.
For me personally, it's Ronald Jones II. I think a lot of people expected Leonard Fournette or even LaShawn McCoy to take the starting job, but Ronald Jones kind of just exploded onto the scene. He's here for big. He's in progress of getting his best career highs yet, and is putting up some points. Not the best running back, but a great fantasy buy if you're needing a flex position or if you just need somebody to get,
Yeah, at this point, I think everyone's got Ronald Jones. I was one of those people who definitely drafted Fournette, hoping that he would take it over that role, but Jones has just kind of taken it and ran with it, literally. Zach, who do you see as a fantasy star?
Justin Herbert. I know a lot of people came in, they weren't thinking he was going to have a great rookie year. That Chargers team did not look great on paper, but they're doing really well, and Justin Herbert's a big part of that. He has I think he has the easiest schedule coming up for a quarterback. So I think people who don't have a solid quarterback, maybe they have Cam Newton and they're a little worried about him, Justin Herbert is a really good person to pick up or look to trade for, because I think he's going to do really well in these next few weeks.
Again, another player, can't disagree with you guys. Another person I personally picked up and has been amazing on my team. Now let's talk about people who've been disappointing. I know Zeke has been quite disappointing for a lot of fantasy owners, but what other big-name star has been a real disappointment? Brandon?
I would say Cam Newton, because he was doing all right, but then he contracted COVID or whatever situation was going on there, so you had to bench him for a few weeks. OBJ now with that injury is probably not going to be that great of a pick, and a few other guys, like I know I picked up Randall Cobb, I think. He was kind of disappointing for the Texans. Brandon Cooks had one good game, but just wasn't all that effective. And, just guys like that where it's kind of these mid-tier guys that were expected to have decent seasons, but just have come up short.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought Brandon Cooks would get into that Houston system, kind of take over that Hopkins role that he's vacated. Zachary, who else do you see as a disappointment so far in this fantasy season?
Speaking of Zeke, Zeke's been a big disappointment, but I think Zeke is somebody to look for on the trade market. I think a lot of fantasy owners are really disappointed with how Zeke's been playing, but that Cowboy team sucks. There's no way to sugarcoat that. And who's the only player I think Zeke, he's listening to all these people hate on him. I think Zeke's going to be due for a few big games because their quarterback, what's his name, Ben DiNucci? Like, he's not going to do anything. I think they're going to give the ball to Zeke. I think Zeke's going to have a few good performances, so he's a good person to look for on the trade. Like he said, Cam Newton. I mean, COVID situation, it's weird, and I think he's been very disappointing.
You know what? As far as disappointing running backs, the one guy I think that has surprised a lot of people who kind of went from a top 5 running back to drafted in the 4th, 5th round, Todd Gurley has really shown out for Atlanta, a team that has been terrible otherwise. What do you guys have to say about Todd Gurley?
I have him on my note card right here as one of those fantasy buys that low-key, if he's available still, get him. He's been awesome for the Falcons. He's been a free agent steal. You know, I think a lot of people, including myself, thought his career was just over, but he really is having a resurgent year for the Falcons, and honestly, he may be pretty good going forward.
I mean, Todd Gurley's been great for fantasy owners, but he's been terrible for that Atlanta team. That was such a boneheaded play to go down, try to stop yourself from going in, and somehow score a touchdown. You just had to get the first down. You didn't have to score a touchdown. Matt Stafford leads them back, and they lose. Todd Gurley's good for fantasy owners, but he's not great for the NFL, or for the Falcons at least.
I agree that play was really boneheaded, but you got to look at the whole season, and he's just had a really decent season so far, and has a lot of potential moving forward.
What are they? They're like 2-4, 2-5. The Falcons are not good. And Todd Gurley may look like a shining star in like a gold in the dustpan. You know what I mean?
They're not good, but he's not the reason for their failure. I think he's actually one of the few bright spots on that team, personally speaking.
I'd have to agree there with Brandon, but a team that it pains me to talk about, the Steelers. Their D has been pretty incredible so far in the season. Do either of you want to touch on them? Because again, I don't want to talk about them.
Hey, they're a great defense to pick up if you haven't already, but I doubt a lot of leagues are going to have that defense available. Great defense, 26 sacks, 1 defensive touchdown, number 5 rated defense. If they're available, go pick them up, like right now.
Yeah, if you're on your phone right now, go grab the Steelers defense if they're there, but they're probably not there in 99% of fantasy leagues.
Yeah, that's going to be one of those, you're playing with a bunch of guys who aren't very football savvy, and they just weren't looking at the waiver wire. Again, thank you guys so much. I love talking fantasy. It's a sport that, has just been truly growing every year, and people who don't have anything to do with football are paying attention and playing it. So, again, thank you guys, and I cannot wait till next week when we can talk about it again. Until next time, join us again here for ntTV at Sportszone. Thank you, guys.